Greetings everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm your host Captain Brian. Today's video comes to us courtesy of Derp Amber. Derp is playing in the Tier 7 Japanese cruiser, the Miyoko, here in World of Warships. As the battle gets underway, it's two brothers, it's standard battle mode, and it's a Tier 8 maximum game. Now, the Miyoko at Tier 7, often considered one of the best cruisers in the Japanese cruiser line, and the Mogami at Tier 8 is often felt as a significant letdown and almost a downgrade. The reason for this feeling and sentiment is not unfounded, as it turns out. Those of us who have been playing the game for a very long time, near the beginning of the closed beta or near the end of the closed alpha test, Wargaming listened to the player base who was complaining that the Miyoko at Tier 8 had fewer torpedoes and worse gun rotation than the Mogami at Tier 7. Well, Wargaming listened and they swapped tiers. The Mogami went from Tier 7 to Tier 8, and the Miyoko went from Tier 8 to Tier 7. But that's all they did. They didn't change anything about the two ships other than swapping tiers. This means that the Miyoko has better armor and better armor characteristics than the Mogami, in spite of the fact that the Mogami is a tier above it. The saving grace to the Mogami, of course, is its rapid-fire, decent 155mm guns, and the fact that it has so many of them. Now, Derp in the Miyoko here is using an island as cover. Unfortunately, because the enemy Dunkirk has continued to push closer and closer, it means that his shots aren't going to be able to clear that island. Now, if that Dunkirk or another target pops up further away, he can have enough elevation on the guns to get those shots out. The primary issue that I have with the Miyoko, personally, is the placement of its gun turrets. Very much so like the Atago Tier 8 premium Japanese cruiser. The turrets on the Miyoko have two forward super firing turrets, and then, just like the Izumo, they have one turret on the bow that's facing the opposite direction. This means if you're engaging in a maneuvering fight with something like a destroyer especially, you're not going to be able to get all three of those turrets constantly fighting the enemy, because that rear turret's got to swing all the way back around like the rest of the rear turrets at the back of the ship. However, the armor on the Miyoko is pretty decent if you know how to angle it, and as we can see here, Derp does take a big hit from armor piercing, but he didn't get citadeled. And that's something a lot of Battleship players get thrown off by, is Miyoko players who know how to angle their armor. The armor on the bow is particularly tough. The ship also comes with 10km torpedoes as standard, but just like the Aoba before her, the Mogami, and the Ibuki after her, those torpedo tubes are located amidships and face rearwards. This means the only way you're going to get them off at a target is to expose your broadside or turn around completely and run away. Speaking of run away, you can see that's what Derp is doing here. He's got himself turned around, but he hasn't continued to fire. Another aspect of Japanese cruisers that a lot of people don't seem to remember is that the cruisers themselves are fairly stealthy. So long as you have Concealment Expert on your captain, you can actually get to within torpedo range before you are detected. I know with the Mogami at Tier 8, yes, it has a concealment module fitted, you can drop the detectability down to 9.8 kilometers. But the torpedoes, as we'll see here, can be utilized even if the ship is outside of your torpedo range. And that just goes into paying attention to where that ship is going. Now, Derp is continuing to get shots out, mostly high explosive, and you see this a lot with Japanese cruiser captains. The high explosive on Japanese cruisers is actually fairly good, so a lot of times, a lot of people use it. But look here what he's got. He has a Leander stuck broadside on and out in the open because he's not able to disappear into a smoke screen. He's drifted a little far forward. So Derp switches over to the armor piercing. And this is something that a lot of Japanese cruiser commanders don't seem to realize they can do. So Derp gets his armor piercing loaded out here, and look at the salvo there. He manages a double citadel, and that Leander is not having a good day. More importantly, that Leander is now dead thanks to concentrated fire. Concentrated fire is also very effective when you're running with the Japanese ships, because they can put that high explosive on, but also because they can utilize that armor piercing. And in standard battle, it's much more important to concentrate and coordinate with your teammates to bring down enemy ships, especially damaged enemy ships. Don't focus on somebody who's got full health if you can all focus on the guy who's lower health. The reason for that, of course, is it's standard battle. You can't make up the points difference of losing a few extra ships or more high-value ships by capping a base, or by defending a base and preventing an enemy from capping a base. It also means that the enemy team is going to have fewer guns in the game, while they may be more scattered and focusing overall on whittling down everybody. You can simply whittle down one target at a time. So right now, Derp and the vast majority of the team are focused on this enemy Miyoko. But you'll notice this enemy Miyoko has got a lot of health. And looking at it, Derp was, at least for a little bit there, partly inside the range of that Dunkirk. I would have continued shooting at the Dunkirk, simply to set him on fire, simply to help reduce his health even more so. Because he's a battleship, and so long as his battleship guns are in the game, it's a very dangerous situation. Enemy destroyer has popped up here, very close, definitely within detectability range. But you'll notice he popped up there, and Derp actually got shots off at the Miyoko. He wasn't paying as close attention to his minimap as he could have been, and instead lost the opportunity here to get even more shots off quicker at this enemy destroyer. Of course, this enemy destroyer, he's popping a smoke screen as he's trying to run away. Very smart move. Pop that smoke screen, make it basic cover behind you, but look, those shots landed, and of course he's on fire. Derp is going to secure his first kill in the game after having done about 62,000 damage. The enemy team is now down on ships, but the enemy team started this battle with a destroyer advantage, so they had a little bit there. Now, the destroyer advantage is equal. Derp's got himself into a position here where he has to be careful because he's the forward of his teammates over here. And he's got a Dunkirk, but he's also got a Miyoko. Now, what I was going back and saying earlier about that Miyoko, that third turret on the bow, you can see how long it's taking for that to turn around. These are heavy turrets. They're 8-inch guns, and so they don't traverse as quickly as, say, 6-inch gun turrets would. And as a result, it's going to take a long time for them to get on target. Now he switches over to the armor piercing there because there for a while that Dunkirk was broadside on. And the armor piercing, again, a lot of people I see don't realize this. The armor piercing from the Japanese cruisers is actually really effective. Not as heavy as the American AP, not as normalized, capable, and flat trajectory as the German AP, but still very, very dangerous. And then as the Dunkirk returned fire, you can see the armor angling there. A lot of those armor-piercing shots ended up bouncing. He's got the high explosive loaded again. He's going to go ahead and fire that out. Now, something that I do recommend for cruiser captains, if you're going to continue to play cruisers especially, consider selecting that Tier 1 captain skill that allows you to swap already loaded ammo at twice the speed. So if you've already got high explosive loaded and then suddenly a broadside cruiser appears around a corner, rather than wasting that high explosive into that cruiser and allowing him to turn towards you, you can simply swap to the armor piercing in 6 seconds if you have a 12-second reload on 8-inch guns, and dump a whole broadside of armor piercing into him before he has an opportunity to realize that you're going to switch to armor piercing. Likewise, you can switch back to the high explosive as needed. Now, off in the distance here, there is an enemy North Carolina. Pay attention to him. He's mostly full health here, and he's being shot at by at least 2 different ships. He's got a Mogami, who's very low health, and he's got Derp Amber and the Miyoko, who's about half health. Now the Mogami is obviously a bigger threat to him because he's closing in. The Mogami is not paying attention to the mini-map. He does not see that he no longer has the additional support, and it's going to cost him. As a result of that, Derp's team is going to lose another ship, and it's a ship they really can sorely afford to lose. Now Derp is going to go ahead and he's going to get shots off at this Miyoko here. And he's going to switch back and forth between the armor piercing. You can see that Miyoko's giving a broadside. At this kind of range, the armor piercing is going to do a pretty good job here. Assuming he actually manages to hit him. And that's always the trick with these ships, is finding that range. Now the Miyoko is maneuvering hard because he's being shot at by a couple of ships. Derp, in the meantime, is taking shots from that North Carolina. But again, you can see a lot of those shots are bouncing. Now he switches fire back over to the North Carolina. I don't recommend doing this in this situation. Look, you have a low health Miyoko. Focus him down. Finish that guy off first before focusing on a full strength enemy. Your team is down on ships, and the enemy team is currently up on points. Had you focused him down, it's possible you could have taken him out of the game sooner and prevented him from causing any additional damage to your team and allowing the ships that were back over here, instead of pursuing him around this island, to possibly be able to cut in and take some of the pressure off you. Now we can see Derp Amber is going to switch his focus fire back to that cruiser, because at this point all of those battleships off in the distance are, well, off in the distance. They're not detected, or they're behind islands. That Miyoko is making a desperate run towards the map border, trying to get away from all of these ships here, and he is going to border. You see more shots out there. Derp manages to set him on fire. That's not going to make him particularly happy. It looks like he's going to let that fire burn for a second there as he tries to ride the border, do the border riding, but that doesn't work the way it used to anymore. The only question is, who's going to get the kill? It's going to be Derp Amber through fire. More shots coming in there. Those look like they're from the Mogami, but they could be from the King George V, who is also back over there with the North Carolina. At this point, the enemy team has managed to remove the pressure that was on their base, but that little bit of pressure plus the combination of sinking ships has resulted in Derp's team currently being up on points, but just barely. And now, Derp has got himself a significant problem. He's got two battleships and a cruiser back over there that can all shoot at him. More shots coming in there. Using the mobility and maneuverability of this ship to keep himself from being hit too hard. What little shots are coming in are for the most part missing. Manages to connect more with high explosive. If you're firing at battleships, especially if they're bow on at you, high explosive is a good shot. Now you see here he's firing off torpedoes, but those ships are outside of his torpedo range. However, at least one of them was sailing this direction, and if he continues to sail in this direction, by the time those torpedoes reach their max range, he will have met and sailed into them. Something, again, that a lot of people forget with torpedoes. You can utilize them outside of their max range if the enemy is chasing you. And that's where Japanese cruisers really, really hold their own. They have that ability to get in there, get those torpedoes away as they run away, as they kite the enemy. Now Derp's going to go ahead, he's going to get shots off here at this enemy destroyer, and he's looking around for potential other targets here. Enemy destroyer disappears as the friendly destroyer finally meets his end. That friendly destroyer probably would have been best served by stopping his main battery. If he just stopped firing and dropped off detectability, he could have possibly gotten back a little bit closer to allied ships, but more importantly, he would have no longer taken fire and he could continue torpedoing the enemy. A lot of destroyer captains, especially American destroyer captains and Soviet destroyer captains, will not stop firing. They'll continue blazing away with their guns even as they lose health and as their team sorely needs them to stay alive and basically not give the enemy team more points, but as well keep them between them and the enemy. Friendly destroyer could have easily put himself between Derp and that other enemy destroyer and continued to spot him so that Derp could bring down all hell onto that destroyer with his main battery guns. As you can see here, he is being detected. That's going to indicate that that destroyer has turned around and has made his way back over here. Enemy Mogami looks like he's going to go down the center channel. Both teams are fairly close on ships, but the enemy team now does have a destroyer advantage. And they've got this destroyer advantage because that destroyer was smart. He was able to coordinate fire, finish off the enemy destroyer who was detecting him, and then just drop off. And that's where he's going to stay. He's going to stay out of detectability by not firing at the enemy ships. Friendly ship back behind Derp Amber was taking heat from a couple of different ships, but Derp manages to take some of that heat off by finishing off that battleship with fire. That's going to be his third kill in the game. Now, he's still being detected. Where that destroyer could be is hard to tell, but there's some limiting factors to pay attention here. On the minimap, he's still being detected. Look at his detection range there. That tells him that that destroyer is somewhere out in the open, as opposed to being directly behind an island. That Mogami is indeed going down the center channel. So Derp is going to head back and he's going to regroup with his team back at the base. The problem here, that friendly Miyoko that's all the way back there is being spotted and he's detected. And I'm not sure what exactly is detecting him because as you can see, the smoke screen there where the enemy destroyer has popped up should be blocking that Miyoko from view. So how and why he's being detected, I'm not entirely sure. Unfortunately, Derp's torpedoes looked like they were good to go, did not find a target, and that friendly Miyoko, well, he's going to meet his end to the destroyer in that smokescreen. Again, I'm not sure what exactly is detecting him, but he does meet his end. That leaves just 3 ships left alive on Derp's team. There are 4 on the enemy team, and at this point, it's still anybody's match. There's still a few minutes left, and it could be anybody, but the enemy Mogami has managed to claim his victim in the form of that Fuso. And we know that Mogami is going up the center channel, and I don't think it was the Mogami that claimed that kill as opposed to the other ones. The problem is, now there's just 2 of them. They are both roughly in the same position. You see here, Derp is detected. That's a catapult fighter that tells him that something has come down that channel. And the Alabama was able to take out that New Orleans. That's good for them, but they're still down here. They need to kill something else. They need to coordinate, and that Mogami has got most of his health in comparison to Derp, who's very, very low health. Now, Derp gets his torpedoes away here, but notice how he's sailing. Derp, you have torpedoes on the opposite side of your ship. Turn the ship. Swing that ship. Get the torpedoes away on the other side, because that Mogami knows there's going to be torpedoes coming down that channel. He's already started reversing, so the first set is probably going to miss him completely. If you had gotten those torpedoes away a little bit sooner here on the other side by swinging that ship around, it's possible that these torpedoes might have reached that enemy Mogami, but you can see there he's backing up, and at this point those torpedoes are going to run out of steam before they even reach him. Also at this point, there's not a lot of time left on the clock, so it's entirely probable these torpedoes aren't even going to reach him before the clock runs out. In the meantime, the Mogami desperately trying to secure the kill here, and Derp is maneuvering around. He's making it difficult. He's forcing that Mogami to be bow onto him, lest he run into a serious problem. The Alabama is out of position to shoot at him. There's an island there that Mogami is playing very intelligently. And at this point, unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. In the future, look for those targets of opportunity and focus down shots. Don't pick on the higher strength ships, the full health ships, if there's a low health ship that you can pick on instead. Remove them from the game earlier, and, well, you might have been able to win this battle by taking those guns out and then keeping your guns in the game a little bit longer. Still, though, a very good battle by Derp Amber in spite of the loss. 147,000 damage done, Confederate and high caliber in this game. Unbelievably, though, Derp is the top of both teams for XP earn. Yes, that's right. On the losing team, Derp earned 1,600 base XP. The only person to do more than 1,000 base XP on his team. The enemy team, top player, only earned 1,500. Showing that the Miyoko is very, very good, even on a loss when handled very well. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you like the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. If you'd like to help support me in the channel, you can do so by becoming my supporter on Patreon. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to see featured on my channel, please send it to my email. And if you'd like to watch me play various games live, you can do so by following me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below, and as always, I'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.